Good evening. I'm Brighton Supervisor Bill Maley, and I'd like to welcome this wonderful overflow crowd tonight to the February 12th, 2014 Town Board meeting. We really appreciate all of you that are here to participate or just enjoy tonight's meeting. We're going to be starting in just a moment with a couple of ceremonial events and a proclamation, but following that we will be going into our open forum portion of the meeting, and I will talk about that a little more in just a moment. But in case of an emergency, and it's particularly important with the big crowd tonight, we've got a lot of emergency personnel here, and that's good, but in case of an emergency, and you'll hear the alarm, if you hear that alarm, please exit the room immediately, either through the door to my right, turn right, go down the stairs, out the back entrance to Town Hall and away from the building. Or you can leave by either of the two exits in the rear of this room, go straight ahead out the front door of Town Hall, and again, away from the building. We'll start with a pledge, and I'd like to ask Board Member Louise Novros to lead us in the pledge tonight.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We're going to start with what I think is the reason a lot of you are here. We have swearing-ins of two of our police officers for promotions.
Great. Thank you, Supervisor. As you can tell, I think we're all here for the town board meeting, but it is a significant time for us in the Brighton Police Department. It's a special time. Tonight we celebrate the promotion of two individuals to management positions. Before we start with the promotions, I want to mention how difficult this promotion process has been. As the supervisor has mentioned in the past, we do have the very best police officers in New York State right here at the Brighton Police Department. There were 6 highly qualified candidates for only 2 promotional spots. I wish we could have promoted all the candidates. I'd like to thank the supervisor and members of the town board for approving the candidates that I recommended for promotion. Tonight, Sergeant Michael Desane will be promoted to the rank of Police Lieutenant, and Police Officer Allison Laubacher will be promoted to the rank of Police Sergeant. If we could start with Lieutenant Desane. Michael, what I'll do is I'll introduce you, and then we'll do the formal ceremony in the center. Lieutenant Michael Desane started with the Brighton Police Department in 1996. Mike transferred to the Brighton Police Department from the Lyons Police Department. Previous to his start in law enforcement, Mike served in the United States Navy and received an honorable discharge as a gunner's mate 2nd class petty officer. While at the Brighton Police Department, Mike Desane has received numerous awards and commendations. Mike is a recipient of a Distinguished Police Service Award. He's a recipient of 5 Excellent Police Service Awards and 2 Life-Saving Awards. Mike served many years as an investigator assigned to the Greater Rochester Area Narcotics Enforcement Team. We'll call it Granite from this point on. During his tenure at Granite, Mike was involved in a number of high-profile and complex narcotics investigation. As a result of his investigative efforts, Mike has received formal recognition from partners in law enforcement agencies at the federal, state, and local levels. In December of 2007, Mike Desane was promoted to the rank of sergeant. Since November of 2011, Mike has been the supervising officer of the Criminal Investigative Division for the Brighton Police Department. It was my honor to recommend Michael Desane to be promoted to the rank of lieutenant. I look forward to having Mike as part of my senior management team. Now, as we do the process, the formal swearing in with Town Clerk Dan Amon, it's customary that the family join the candidate as he's sworn in. So Bobby Joe, Mike's wife, daughter Mackenzie, son Michael, Mom Marie, and Dad Gene, if you can join us in the center here, we'll do the swearing in ceremony. As they're getting set up for the formal swearing in, there's some special guests that have come to witness the promotion. Palmyra Police Chief David Dalton, who happens to be Mike's neighbor. David's wife Lori and son Justin are here. Newark Police Chief David Chrysler is here. Rochester Police Commander Joe Morabito is here. Joe is the commanding officer of the Granite. And Sergeant Brett Sobieski is here as well from Granite, as well as a number of law enforcement people that have come to watch Lieutenant Desane get sworn in.
I, Michael Desane,
Do solemnly swear
solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
that I will faithfully discharge the duties
of Police Lieutenant
of Police Lieutenant
according to the best of my abilities.
according to the best of my abilities. Thank you. Thank you.
Lieutenant Desane would like to say a few words.
Hey there, Lieutenant. Congratulations. Lieutenant Mike.
Great, Mike. Thank you. Thank you. Good evening. I would like to take this opportunity to thank Police Chief Mark Henderson, Captain Robert Klein, Captain David Cathaldi for recommending me and having the faith in me to fulfill the duties of Police Lieutenant. I would like to thank the Town Supervisor Bill Maley, Town Board members for accepting the recommendation. I can assure all of you and the citizens of the Town of Brighton that I will work to the best of my abilities to serve the community well and keep within the highest traditions of the Brighton Police Department. I would also like to thank my family, friends, and coworkers for taking this precious time out of their busy day to attend this swearing in. I truly appreciate your friendship and support. And last, but certainly not least, my lovely wife, my son Michael, my daughter Mackenzie. I want to thank you for always standing by me, supporting my police career, and understanding the commitment I have to protecting and serving the town of Brighton. Thank you.
Carpets in here.
Sergeant Laubach.
This is cool. These pros.
Sergeant Allison Laubacher transferred to the Brighton Police Department on July 4th, 2009. Start dates are very important, so you have to have a date that you'll remember, because when you add 20 to it, it's the day you can go out. So July 4th is a pretty good day. Previous to her transfer, Allison was a Rochester City police officer assigned to the East Side Command. Allison started at the RPD in September of 2007. Allison is an honors graduate from Brockport State College, receiving a bachelor's degree cum laude in criminal justice. During her tenure at the Brighton Police Department, Allison has received 3 Excellent Police Service Awards. It was my honor to recommend that Allison be promoted to the rank of police sergeant. I look forward to having Allison on my management team. So this is now where you get to stand on the X. CJ, would you like to join Allison? Carol, would you like to go? Stepdad John? There's a very good friend that's also present in the room tonight. It's Rochester Police Officer Anthony DePonzio that's here to witness his good friend being sworn in as police sergeant.
Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Allison Laubacher,
I, Allison Laubacher,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
of police sergeant
of police sergeant
according to the best of my abilities.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations, Allison.
Congratulations, Allison.
Congratulations, Sergeant. Did you want to say anything?
I'm going to make this short and sweet because I heard there's a rumor there's cake downstairs. First, I'd like to thank the chief for this opportunity and his confidence in me. Being given this position is an honor, and I'll do my best to uphold the integrity of the department. I'd also like to thank the town supervisor and the town board. Thank you to the members of the department who are here tonight, especially those who are here on their night off. I appreciate you guys being here. Thank you to my friends and members of other departments who at one time were my coworkers. You guys coming means a lot. Lastly, to my family, specifically my mom, stepdad, and husband who are here with me tonight. Thank you for your support.
Sergeant Laubacher alluded to it, but the best part comes now. There's cake, and we can all leave. Even if you're here for the open forum part, you can come have a piece of cake, come back. But down in the police department is the second part of the celebration where we can get together and celebrate the great accomplishments of Lieutenant Dessain and Sergeant Laubacher. Thank you.
I also want to note real quickly that part of this great crowd that's here tonight are students, members of our Citizens Police Academy, which is holding its first session of the 2014 Academy year tonight. Again, as he did last year, Sergeant David Swancott is the primary instructor for that program. We got such great feedback last year. We've done it again this year, and we thought it was a great opportunity for all of the members of the Police Academy to be up here to join with the department and with our newly promoted officers for this great evening. So that's just part of what this great police department, and I'll echo what Chief Henderson said, the best in New York, bar none. Sorry, those of you that are from other departments. But part of that is the community engagement that this community has, not just the members of the Police Academy, but throughout the community with this great department. So again, congratulations, and enjoy the cake. We'll give everybody a chance to leave that would like to, but I also want to note we will be, in just a moment, I will be reading a proclamation in honor of Black History month, February 2014. Okay, 2014 obviously is Brighton's bicentennial year. And that's a very important year in the life of the community. Our community is a diverse community, people with many different backgrounds, many different purposes. And one of the important commemorations that we make each year is Black History Month. I would like to note, and you'll be hearing more about it in just a minute, but the town will be holding a celebration of Black history and culture in Brighton and in the area called Struggle Toward Freedom on Sunday, February 23rd at 3 p.m. in the University of Rochester Alumni Building, the former St. Agnes building on East River Road in West Brighton. But as part of that bicentennial celebration, I do want to note February is Black History Month with the following proclamation. And it reads, Black History Month, Bicentennial Year 2014. Whereas in 1976, Black History Month was first formally proclaimed by the President of the United States to reflect upon and bear witness to the progress of African American achievement. And whereas 2014 being the bicentennial year for our town, we recognize and honor Brighton resident Thomas Warrant, who founded the Rochester Anti-Slavery Society in 1835 for his bravery and conviction to position his homestead, located in West Brighton, as a stop on the Underground Railroad. And whereas in 1850, the penalties for helping runaways and for runaway slaves who were captured were sharply increased by the Fugitive Slave Law. But in Brighton and in other communities, men and women, brave men and women, like Thomas Warrant, defied this law. And whereas we also recognize the courage, conviction, and contributions of local 19th century African American leaders, such as Frederick Douglass, Harriet Tubman, Sojourner Truth, who have played a significant role in the struggle toward freedom for African Americans. And whereas in 2014, the national theme of Black History Month is civil rights in America. And our Black History Month celebration gives us an opportunity to celebrate early efforts in Brighton and across the region to bring civil rights to all people in our nation. Now, therefore, we, the Brighton Town Council, encourage all of our residents to continue to promote inclusion and diversity in our community by honoring the promise of freedom and opportunity for all. We hereby declare February 2014 as Black History Month in Brighton. Signed this 12th day of February 2014 by myself and all of the members of the Brighton Town Board. In honor of this Black History Month and of our bicentennial year, we will be displaying this proclamation here in Town Hall. As I noted before, we will now proceed to the open forum portion of our meeting. During the open forum, we encourage anyone here at the meeting that may have questions during the open forum portion of the program. If you're at home, you can also take this opportunity to participate in the open forum by calling 303-3060. Someone will answer the phone, take your questions or comments, and pass them on to the board. That number again is 303-3060. If you're deaf or hearing impaired, you may also participate in the open forum by calling our TDD line at 784-5205. Again, our TDD line, 784-5205. 5205. We look forward to hearing from you, whether you're here in the audience or at home, with any questions or concerns you may have. Now, during the open forum, as we said, members of the audience may address the board about any matter, whether or not it's on the agenda tonight. Now, if you're here for a matter that is going to be before us in a public hearing, and we do have one public hearing tonight relating to the potential removal of certain town trees, and you'd like your comments to be heard as part of the public record on that hearing, please wait and we'll call the public hearing shortly. But if you do wish to speak during the open forum, please wait. I will recognize members of the audience wishing to speak. When you're recognized, please come to the forum, to the podium rather. If you would, please give us your name and address. Comments should be directed to the board and not to other members of the audience. Please be courteous. Please try to keep your comments as concise as possible. If you ask questions, if we're able to answer them here, we will try to do so. If not, we may have to get back to you or answer them separately at a later time. So with that, I now declare the open forum to begin. Is there anyone that would like to address the town board during the open forum? Judy?
Schwartz, 79 Ashbourne Road. I really do have an item from the agenda. I just noticed that there's to approve a renewal of an agreement with Caccamise Electric to provide street lighting maintenance services. And I didn't know how much discussion there might be on this, but I have a question. Is this for street lighting districts throughout the town, or where will they be serving the community?
Judy, this is for town-owned streetlights, not district lights. So districts are still maintained by RG&E because of the jurisdiction. This is for lighting that the town owns itself.
Okay. The reason I raised the question is I had a feeling RG&E still had districts, but there is a neighborhood in town that has more lights out than on, and this has been for years now. It's not a new problem. Do we have any influence over RG&E to really get all the lights on that should be on in neighborhoods that have?
We do have some neighborhoods, Judy, that have had recurring issues. And I've had discussions with RG&E both about the fact that those neighborhoods do seem to be particular problem areas, but also at times, although RG&E does on their website post information about outages street by street, during some of these outages, we've had problems with the maybe over-optimistic projections as to when street lights would be restored, or electricity restored in those cases where there has been a complete outage of electricity. RG&E has indicated that they are planning some significant capital projects relating to street light improvement, which would be a very welcome matter. So we're hoping there's obviously Public Service Commission issues and the like relating to any significant RG&E projects of that scope. But they are very much aware of it. They do have dedicated staff dedicated to our town streetlights, and we will continue in communication with them. And I encourage you and folks in the neighborhoods often know before we do. Call us. We will continue to advocate on behalf of on your behalf with RG&E.
I don't live in a district as it happens, but I'm in some that, you know, that do have
You live very
streetlights.
close to a neighborhood that is one of the
Yes,
the
and these
Struckmar
lights-
neighborhood has been a
Well,
recurring.
and Bel Air is
And
another
Bel
one.
Air has
And
been a
it's the
recurring
same
problem.
lights that have been out now for 2 and 3 years. It's not like there was an outage. It's the same. So
Yep.
either they're in bad, you know, state of repair, or they need to be replaced or something. But that's good. You answered my question.
The
Thank
street lighting in most of those neighborhoods, and certainly those two are quite old, and they're showing their age.
you. Right, where Struckmar was another, right. Thank you.
Thank you, Judy.
And Judy, I would just say, sort of jump into it, when people are reporting, there's always a number on the pole. So it's important to get that number off of the pole so they can narrow down it. They don't have to
Sure.
try and figure out, oh, it's in front of house number 100. There's a number right on the pole. I
Thank
know
you. That's
a
good to know.
point.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to address the board? Joel?
Hello, my name is Joel Shapiro. I live in Brighton, 119 Schilling Lane. And it's been a while since I've been here, but several years ago, we had a budget meeting, and one of the ideas that I had was that consolidate our services, maybe get the sheriff to be our police. And no, we as a town want to have our own police department. And I got to thinking that's pretty well equal, you know, like the benefits of having our own police force pretty much affect us all equally. But now I'm going to, you know, and all the laws, if you feed the ducks, you know, go, you know, past the speed limit, you know, you break the law, and pretty much all of us are affected equally, hopefully from supervisor on down to residents. Now I'm going to talk about a little bit about laws and inequality. And on January 13th of this year, they had a hearing in Albany about the health exchanges, you know, health program, you know, for health insurance. And you can look it up as the New York State Public Hearing on Health and Insurance on YouTube. It has the whole hearing. But there was some very, very compelling testimony by a sheet metal cutter. She had a business, and she had to let her people go on to what you call the health exchanges. And the chairman of the New York State Medical Society said at 1 hour, 56 minutes, 30 seconds into the hearing, something very profound. He says that just because you have health insurance in this state through the exchanges doesn't mean that you're insured. And when I looked at the whole hearing, you know, what went through my mind was the Christian saying, "Therefore, by the grace of God go I." So all of the people that were doing, you know, sponsoring the hearing, the New York State Legislature, they're all covered. They have nice health plans we as New Yorkers pay for. And I started calling around to other towns around New York State. You know, everybody, you know, supervisors, town employees, they all are covered by health insurance, which is very, very costly, especially with the new mandates that are, you know, under what you call Obamacare or the Affordable Care Act. Now, if you are an employer and you don't wish to, give health insurance to your employees, you get a penalty. And that penalty has all the meaning of affordable in the Affordable Care Act. Because the penalty is really not a penalty when you're making money. So what I'm wondering is there a possibility that the town of Brighton can get out of the healthcare business and, you know, take the $2,000 penalty, which we're paying much, much more for all your health care, and have the people go on the exchanges, and then they can experience firsthand, maybe in-network, out-of-network, whether they're covered or not, what hospitals they can go to, and it is a royal mess. But I would think that who else but government would be the best, if you have all the towns and cities across the state in America, and they have all their employees going on the exchanges, I'm sure the exchanges will be fixed very, very shortly. But so I'm wondering, is this a consideration that you might have?
Well, let me try to address, both some of your statements, but also, the question that I think you're asking. And as you know, and as you've sort of acknowledged, healthcare in this country has certainly been evolving in recent years. And the healthcare that we provide as a local government has also been evolving over recent years. The nature of the policies that the major providers are making available have changed fairly dramatically, and with that, so have the policies that we have offered as a town. We do offer health care to our employees, our full-time employees. We make it available to them. We are very proud of the quality of the employees that we have. We have people that are, as we hear them in the middle of the night, we have people plowing streets, we have our police officers, we have the people that are working in your town clerk's office, in your building and planning, in all of the functions that we do. And we believe it's very important that we're able to attract and keep a high-quality workforce. One of the things that Brighton's staff really stands out for is our continuity, is the length of service that so many of our people have provided to the people of Brighton. And of course, what that means is that they have a tremendous amount of knowledge base built up and are able to provide their services as effectively as possible. I believe that one of the reasons we have been able to attract such a high-quality workforce is that we have, over the years, offered to those full-time employees health care policies if they choose to take it, and not all of them do. Some are covered under a spouse's policy, for example, typically. But because of that, and I certainly agree with you, it is not inexpensive to provide that health care.
It's very, very expensive.
That's correct.
And
over time, we have evolved. Our employees now pay a portion of the cost of their premiums. We have both employees that are members of collective bargaining units and employees that are non-represented. Our Brighton Police Patrolmen's Association, the Teamsters, and CSEA, the civil service employees, each represent different groups of employees in the town, and each one of them in their contract have health care provisions. I would note that each one of them have contracts that provide for payment of a portion of the cost by the employees. We've been at the cutting edge of doing that. And that's also true with our non-represented employees. But it is expensive. As I said,
do you have to have union employees for the town? Is that a law?
We have. I don't think we have the time to get into all of the nuances of the state and federal labor laws, but each of those unions has validly organized members of our workforce. We bargain with them in good faith, and those have been relationships that have continued for a long period of time. We could not unilaterally say we're not going to bargain with or recognize the unions that represent our employees anymore. No,
just wanted to show the vast, like, I don't have the quote exactly, usually I do, but there was one Texas employer and he found that taking the penalty, he had to pay $150,000. But if he provided health care, it would cost him $500,000. So the thing that when I look at politicians, which you are, it's kind of like when I pay my taxes and I come up here and say, you know what, I've had a problem. My employer, I'm just making this up. Now I have to be on the exchange. I am getting a subsidy, but I have a humongous, amount of money that I have to pay deductible, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, and I don't have the money for that. But Brighton said, well, you live here, you have to pay taxes. So my point is that it is, when I look at government, I know you're not directly involved with the healthcare system, but the way I look at it is government, and it is government that has created this situation, and who better than government to experience it firsthand? And I understand about you want to keep good people, but that's for any business. That's for anybody. And that is for anybody that has all of a sudden had, their health care provided by their employer. Their employer says, we can't afford this anymore. You go on the exchange. I'm going to take the penalty. I may give you some extra money. And there's all these loopholes that for instance, I read about an 18, you have like a 18-year-old kid, supposed to get on the healthcare system. He could take the penalty, get life insurance, and then when he gets sick, the life insurance company will pay back in cash what he owes for the medical expenses, and then he still makes out like a bandit, even more than if he was actually involved in a healthcare plan. So I hope that you get the gist of what I'm trying to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Joel. Is there anyone else that would like to address the board during our open forum? Ray?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ray Tierney. I'm the chair of the proud chair of the Bicentennial Committee. And thank you for giving me a couple of minutes tonight. The first thing I'm going to do is follow up the supervisor's comments. He talked about our first big event, which is going to be a week from Sunday. It's the Black Heritage in Brighton event that, as Bill has mentioned, will be held at the AAC auditorium on the Brighton campus. And I want to thank the U of R for being a partner in this over on East River Road. It's 300 East River Road, and again, it's at 3 o'clock that afternoon, and it's going to feature the dance ensemble, the youth dance ensemble from Garth Fagan. It's really a special event. It's free, and we've got plenty of room for people. There'll be a small reception afterwards, and we are really eager to really kick off the big events of Bicentennial. We just think this is going to be a very special one. The second thing I'd like to talk about briefly, that is a book that we are in the process of assembling. This book here that I'm going to show is a book that just came out. It's the City of Canandaigua, so no, I'm not confused. This came out just about a month ago. This is the type, and this will be the book that we have here for the town of Brighton on our centennial. It's about the centennial of the city of city of Canandaigua, and I don't know how well this is going to show up, but it's really a special book. It goes through and it's got over 300 photos. These photos came from 3 main areas, and the same is going to happen for the Brighton book. The photos come from our own archives that we have. The Messenger Post, which is a partner in this endeavor, has a very ample library of photos that they've used over the years for the town of Brighton. And lastly, and why I'm really here is photos will be taken from residents. We are opening Town Hall 3 times next week. I know it's short notice, but this is something that came from the publisher just last Friday, I believe our meeting was, Bill, and we are now under their schedule. And what I'd like to do is just explain a little bit about what's going to happen. Next Tuesday afternoon, 2 to 4, next Thursday afternoon, 2 to 4, and next Saturday morning, 9 to 12, right here at Town Hall, the publisher will be here to scan in photos that people will bring in to be part of this book. So what I'd like to do just quickly is to give you a little of the parameters of this, of what these photos, what we're looking for. Time period is, the more historic, the better, obviously. The general interest photos, and they run the gamut from commerce all the way from rural life to schools to transportation. We're looking for a variety of photos, obviously. Photos, I keep saying photos, well, it's photos only. It's not an old newspaper article that you may have. These have to be photos of which will be scanned by the publisher, again, who will be here those 3 days. Brighton area is another thing that they're to be, but the reason why I'm saying area is, and I've recently come to describe this whole bicentennial process as we're bigger than our boundaries, because as you've heard us say before, Brighton back in the beginnings went all the way to the river, except for a little blip, which was the village of Rochester, went all the way, so it was everything east of the river, all the way through Brighton, and went all the way to the lake. So we really are, in our celebration, bigger than our boundaries. So if people have pictures of the old village, they certainly will be incorporated. So it's not just the town today. If there's something that's of historic relevance to our evolution, if you will, as a town over those years, we can't wait to get the photos. Now, you may say it's short notice, or I can't get to that. 2 to 4 Tuesday, next Tuesday, which is the 18th, 2 to 4 next Thursday, which is the 20th, or I can't come next Saturday, 9 to noon. What you can do is drop the photo off here, right at the reception desk, attention to the town historian, Mary Jo Lanfear, and we will see that photo is incorporated. We just ask you to give some brief description of the photo. The other question that may come up is, this is all happening so fast, and I didn't find out about this until the end. Believe me, we are going to be doing exhibits throughout the year. We're looking for photos, not just for this book. There's also another publication that will actually be done after the bicentennial. So it's not just this book, and it's not just this 1 week. We are eager to get anything that you may think is relevant to this celebration. So I thank you. 10 photos per family. That also was on the details, as always, if you go to the town website or to the Brighton200.org site, you can pick up any of those details. I'll just ask, are there any questions from anybody?
Ray, if someone already has a photo scanned into an electronic image, can they be forwarded?
As far as I know, Chris, they can't, because this is all going to be done. Example, we have a digital collection, but what we have to do for the publisher, who will be here those 3 days, they will actually be taking our archives, the useful ones, the ones that we think are appropriate for this book, and they will be putting it into their own system. So I don't believe that. And Bill,
I think part of the reason is that they are using a higher resolution scanner than your household variety scanner.
That's the answer.
So,
very good.
Anything else? Okay, I'll just say, go 200. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Ray.
Ray, thank you very, very much for all the work you're doing as chair of the Bicentennial Committee. I know you never thought retirement would be this much fun, but
I was just sort of joking to one of my friends out here in the audience, and they said, "Ray, what are you doing?" And I said, "Since I retired, I've tried desperately to find my softer side, and you've given me the opportunity to do that." Thank you.
I also want to thank the honorary chair of the bicentennial, Sandy Frankel. We have a citizens committee, Judy Schwartz, who is here tonight, is one of the members of that committee. I echo our appreciation to the U of R for letting us use the AAC for this great event, African American History and Culture event, a week from Sunday. The Brighton Memorial Library, which is a great partner in this. The Brighton Central School District, Jill Vigdor Feldman from the school district, who is part of our committee and has been so engaged, and Dr. McGowan, the superintendent, the support we've gotten from the school district has been wonderful. Historic Brighton. I could go on, but this is a year-long celebration. We are celebrating 200 great years, and we're looking forward. Part of what this celebration is all about is how we became the kind of community we are today and where that takes us for the next 200 years. We may not be around, but it's celebrations like these that really give us that historical memory that is so important as a community. So Ray, again, thank you very much. We welcome anybody that would like to be involved in this bicentennial event. Is there anyone else that would like to address the town board during the open forum? I do note of a very special person that has just walked in. It was wonderful to see you today, Barbara, at the Susan B. Anthony House luncheon, which is held every year on a date close to Susan B. Anthony's birthday of February 15th. 780 people at the Riverside Convention Center honoring our own native daughter, Susan B. Anthony. And Barbara, you play a significant role as the community celebrates the legacy of Susan B. Anthony, and we thank you for that. Is there anyone else that would like to address the board during the open forum? If not, then we will proceed with the business portion of the agenda. And can I have a motion to approve the agenda for this meeting?
Bill, I move we approve the agenda as prepared.
Second.
Discussion? Please call the roll.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember Novros?
Aye.
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Supervisor Maley?
Aye. Can I have a motion to approve and file the town board meeting minutes for our January 8th, 2014 meeting?
So moved.
Discussion? Please call the roll.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember Novros? Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Supervisor Maley?
Aye. Public hearings. We do have one public hearing tonight to consider the removal of significant town trees under the town's tree law at 100 Thackeray Road. That's a 30-inch sugar maple. 175 Greenaway Road, which is a 35-inch silver maple. By inch, I mean its diameter at breast height. At 47 Walden Place, a 48-inch silver maple. At 51 Cobb Terrace, a 40-inch silver maple. And at 11 Model Lane, a 41-inch silver maple. Before I declare the public hearing open, I'll ask the Commissioner of Public Works and/or the town clerk, has legal notice been provided for this public hearing?
Yes, it was, just realizing with this being continued, I don't have the page with me of, I can double check. It was in the early January in the Brighton Fitzer Post. And the piece we were missing at the last meeting, we have an affidavit of mailing for the postcards that went out to the neighbors in the immediate proximity of said trees.
Thank you, and with that, I hereby declare this public hearing to be open and would invite anybody that would like to address the town board on this public hearing to please come to the podium. If you would, please state your name and address, and we will include your comments in the record. Barbara?
I'm losing one of the trees. It has to go. I'm in full.
Barbara, if you would just state your full name and address for the
I'm
record.
sorry. Barbara Blaisdell, 11 Maud Lane. I hate taking down trees because I lived in the 19th Ward when God took them down. It was a terrible time in the ice days. But it has to go. But my question is, how is the decision made about what will replace it, and what is that process, and do I have any say in it, and is there anybody who would help me understand what the options are, you know?
Absolutely, and replacement of these trees is very important. Brighton is a tree city, USA.
Yes.
And we respect our tree canopy. Like you, it's never a happy day when these trees come down. You may have heard, the pattern. A lot of these trees are silver maples, and silver maples are large, majestic trees. But over the years, we've learned that they aren't necessarily, when they get to a certain point, they're not necessarily the best street trees because they do get weak and their branches are so substantial. But I'm going to turn it over to Tim Keefe, our Commissioner of Public Works, because, you can stay there. That's okay. You may have questions for him. Tim will talk about that replacement process and your role in it because, yes, you do, and replacement is an integral part of this.
Thanks, Supervisor Maley. Barbara, we'd be happy to coordinate a replacement tree for you and with you. We can have our person from the Highway Department get in touch with you to talk about what would be appropriate street trees to replant. We don't necessarily replant the same trees that we take out. We get a monoculture, whether it's the maples, silver, or the Norway or the sugar maples, but they do tend to get large. They do tend to get weak. So they may not be the best replacement trees, but we come up with some nice alternatives that would be large trees, have a presence, and they are a little bit more suitable. So I can have Kathy Markert from our Highway Department get in touch with you. If you want to leave after the meeting your contact information, or I can see you right after the public hearing closes, I'd be happy to get that, and we'll be in touch.
That would be great because I live sort of at the end of Maud Lane on one end of it.
Yeah.
And so, it's kind of a welcome spot in a way. And I want the neighbors to feel good about whatever is there.
So do we.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Barbara. Is there anyone else that would like to address the board on this matter? Any questions from members of the town board? Hearing none, then I declare this public hearing to be closed. And you have a proposed resolution in your packet.
And the matter before us regarding the replacement or removal of these trees and replacement of planting of new trees, I move on the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second.
And how soon after they're removed? You're waiting till spring, I'm sure. How soon do they get replaced?
Louise, those trees could be removed anytime now, between now and April. We do have our contractor to do our winter work, and if we can get the trees done, we will. Generally, our planting is in that May timeframe, maybe early June, and that's when we would envision having a replacement tree put in.
Well, these are all really large trees, and I assume that the root system is very big and spread out. So does it usually mean that the sidewalks are, if there are sidewalks, that they're disrupted and those have to be replaced at the same time, or?
They could be. They may not have to be replaced at the same time because we can take the tree out and grind the stump, but if the sidewalks have been lifted or somehow compromised, we would normally come in with our sidewalk contractor, replace those sidewalks, and that can be done even after the new tree will be in, because the new tree will be significantly smaller.
I know that the tree that was in my front yard, they say the roots are all the way to the house. I'm sure you're not gonna get all those, but you're just gonna cut it at one point and,
Normally, if you look at a tree, the roots go out about as far as the canopy of the tree themselves. So if you have overhanging branches, the roots probably are in the vicinity of your house if it goes back that far. When we grind the stump, we will grind out some of those roots. We don't take all of the roots out. Obviously, it'd be a lot of disturbance, but we will get the area where we need to replant the tree prepared by grinding the stump and removing that area and putting back in topsoil and soil amenities. Obviously, when we actually install the tree too, we'll have a little bit of a different type soil to put in with that, and maybe some fertilizer as well.
Thanks, Tim. Any further questions or comments?
Supervisor, I just wanted to, it was bugging me that I forgot to bring this page with me to the meeting, so that's why I stepped away. The notice was in the January 9th edition of the Post.
Thank you. Thank you. If there are no further comments, Dan, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember Novros? Aye. Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Next, bids.
Next item is to authorize solicit for proposals as necessary for the 2014 to provide various materials, equipment, and services to the Highway Department for the Highway, Sewer, and Public Works Departments. I move on the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
second.
Excuse me just a moment there. This is really this is authorizing bids on a wide variety of materials and equipment that have already been budgeted for in the town budget in the highway, sewer, and DPW areas, running from sewer grouting and sidewalk construction to rentals of some equipment to purchase of equipment, including a new street sweeper and backhoe, procurement of some signage, pavement marking material. So it's a wide variety of the day-to-day materials that the Highway, Sewer, and Public Works Department will be using. And of course, we will be following both the general municipal law bidding processes as well as the town's own procurement policies. So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Yes, I just want people to know that we're not hiding anything that we're going to be bidding for. It's, there's such a long list of things that we need, and they have been, we have bid for them before, and so instead of bringing a letter and a proposal for each one of them, we're doing it all at once. There's things like pavement profiling, pavement rental, that kind of thing.
Any further comments? Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember Novros?
Aye.
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Jim?
Chris, you want to take the next one? Or?
Sure.
Let's,
The next item is to seek authorization to solicit proposals as necessary for 2014 to provide various materials, equipment, and services for town facilities for the Parks and Public Works Departments. I move that we adopt the resolution as prepared by the attorney for the town.
Second.
Discussion.
So here again, it's for tree maintenance services, hardware, refuse district services. It's an ongoing thing that we either have a continuation of the different contracts, or it's just a normal business that we provide every year.
Yeah, and one of those items I want to make particular note of because it sort of ties into what we just talked about. One of these items is emerald ash borer treatment. We do treat our emerald ash trees that are in the highway right-of-way. We believe that they're a very important part of that tree canopy we talked about a moment ago. And from an economic perspective, if we failed to treat them, it would cost us almost as much to remove them as it does to treat them. So it was an easy decision. We will continue to treat those trees on, I think it's a 3-year cycle, Tim, for as long as the emerald ash borer situation continues. At some point, as has been the case wherever infestations have occurred, they've basically eaten up all the food that they have, and they move on. But during that time, we will continue to treat, and it's not 100% effective, but it will save, we expect, most of our ash trees.
And Bill, in terms of process, what we're doing here, as Louise has pointed out, is the first step is to authorize the solicitation of bids. This is not to say that we're approving these purchases as a gang, but yet we're just authorizing the departments to get pricing from various vendors, have that be submitted, then later we will then look one at a time at each of these contracts as they're presented to the board.
Correct. Thanks. Let's see, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Please call the roll.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember Novros?
Aye.
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Communications. Can I have a motion to receive and file these communications?
So moved.
Second.
Just a couple of items here. The first one is a letter complimenting us, complimenting the town and our town staff on sidewalk snow plowing in the Rowlands neighborhood. That's a neighborhood where we've just started a sidewalk snow removal. Really, the neighbors started a sidewalk snow removal district with our help. As of January 1st, we began plowing in that neighborhood because we purchased a new 4-foot bladed sidewalk snow plow, and those are relatively narrow sidewalks. I will say that we had a little glitch because we had some equipment problems with that plow, but we've gotten the part back in that we needed. And Tim, any estimate as to when that plow will be back in service?
We're hoping that we will have it perhaps by tomorrow, Bill.
We're hoping that you won't have to use it tomorrow,
That
but
is correct.
other than to plow those.
Actually, we will go out.
Yeah.
We do have to go out. We do have to do the catch-up work. But
Yeah.
the part came in, the dealer was working on it, and they wanted to make sure the machine was ready to come back. So as soon as they determine it roadworthy, we'll have it back in service, and we'll have it out in the neighborhood.
Thank you.
And I was telling Tim that I was sitting at my front window one morning last week when it was snowing, looking out the window, and it came by, and it is the cutest thing. It's tiny, it's red, it's got a canopy, or the person's inside, and it did a fantastic job on our street.
It may look it may look cute, but it's commercial strength.
It's a workhorse, yes it is.
We have communication. We always have mixed emotions when one of our employees retire, and Dave Ewell, our animal control officer, has indicated that he'll be retiring after 21 years. A lot of residents of Brighton have gotten to know Dave when one of their pets maybe got loose. So we'll certainly miss him.
He did indicate that he would come. He's given us a 30-day notice, so at the end of March, he said he would come to a town board meeting, so.
Great. And much as we hate to say goodbye to people, we love to give a shout out to our employees when residents recognize them. And Michael Neck from our sewer department got a thumbs up from Berkeley Breen for the work that he did at his house on, I think, Valley Road. Yep. And so we appreciate that. And Mike, nice work.
Well, duty above and beyond, he went out on Super
Yes,
Bowl
he did.
Sunday and unplugged this resident's sewer.
Yeah.
That's pretty dramatic. That's great.
So we have a motion and a second. Any further comments? Please call the roll.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember Novros?
Aye.
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Committee reports. Louise.
I don't have a report from the Parks and Rec and Community Service meeting that we had last week, but do you have anything to report?
No, why don't we just save it for the
For next time.
Next meeting. And the next meeting of the Parks and Recreation,
Is the last Monday of the month. February 24th. Oh, March, yeah.
4:30 at Brookside
4:30 at
School.
Brookside School.
Like all of these committee meetings, that meeting is open to the public. Chris, Finance.
Bill, we met with the Finance and Administrative Services Committee last week, Tuesday, February 4th. All of the matters discussed there are on tonight's agenda, with the exception of a general discussion of surplusing a discussion with Ray Wager and Greg Feederson regarding our upcoming audit and how that process is going to work. We also discussed the status of the landscape and brush grinding at our landfill, I guess we call it, sure. And that's the landfill for vegetation, not for garbage, but which is being ground at this point, and we're actually being paid by the vendor, and it remains to be seen if they're going to be able to continue to do that economically. Tim, have you got any thoughts on that or any input?
Could you repeat the last part, Chris?
Regarding the grinding contract and such over at the landfill.
Yes, I'm back in touch with the the current contractor that we have, and discussing whether there's a place to meet in the middle, as we talked.
That'd be great.
And see if the committee and the board then would be amenable to amending the contract. If not, we have the option to go back out to solicit services again if we do not renew. So that would be the other alternative. So we're hoping we can do this to everyone's satisfaction, but that's yet to be seen.
Thanks, Tim. And then lastly, we are discussing amending or reviewing our current credit card policy. But otherwise, the items will all be on tonight's agenda. And our next meeting is actually a change of date and time. It's going to be on Wednesday, February the 19th, beginning at 9 o'clock a.m. That's because many of us will be at the Association of Towns meeting on Tuesday. So Wednesday, February 19th, 9 o'clock a.m. in the Stage Conference meeting.
Thanks, Chris. Public Safety, Jason.
Yes, the Public Safety Committee met yesterday morning at 8 a.m. here at Town Hall, and after the networking session, we received reports from the ambulance, fire, police, and Department of Public Works regarding service calls to date and those types of matters. The items of business that we discussed were the Brighton special events, the park use permit application that Matt Beeman from our Parks Department has been working on. He's collected comments from various staff and interested parties, and I believe that the next step is to be sending it over to the town attorney for his comments and thoughts, and we'll be ready to put that into place for this upcoming season. The park use permit actually does a good job of outlining each of the items from a logistics standpoint, as far as anybody who's sponsoring a special event in one of our parks, for all of the items that need to be considered, from insurance, parking, traffic control, all of those types of things. Oftentimes we'll see a well-intentioned applicant that wants to put on an event to raise money, but hasn't really done it before, and I think that this will be a good roadmap of all of the items for them to consider. That way town staff can help them put on a successful event. And actually for the seasoned veterans who are used to putting on these events, this will make their job that much easier. The other item that we discussed under old business was also changes to the town code regarding animal control. We discussed it at our last meeting, and actually further down on our agenda, we will be setting a public hearing on that matter later this month. And I believe that public hearing will be scheduled on February 26th, which will be our next town board meeting. Our next meeting of the Public Safety Committee will be on Tuesday, March 11th. We meet at 8 o'clock in the morning, and I believe that one we will also be meeting here in the main auditorium rather than the lower level conference room where we usually meet. So we'll be in the main auditorium next month, March 11th, 8 a.m. The public is invited to attend.
Thanks, Jason. Jim, Public Works.
Yes, Public Works met on February 3rd, and it's our usual first Monday of the month meeting. That's when we hold that. At the time, we reviewed a number of matters under old business. Representatives from the University of Rochester provided further update relative to the recent submission of the South Campus IPD, the institutional plan development incentive zoning proposal, scheduled to be on our agenda tonight for action by the board. Also, the next item we covered was the Comfort Care Facilities. Ramsey Boehner, our senior town planner, reviewed with the committee the latest changes that have been made to the language of the proposed local law, and the committee deemed it ready for a town board to consider it for incorporation in the town code as a local law after a public hearing on this matter, which will have to be scheduled here in the near time future. Next item was a drainage issue over in Susquehanna in the rear yards of a whole line of residents there. Our town engineer, Mike Guyon, and Chad Roscoe, our junior engineer, met with the residents to discuss the estimated costs, construction, and funding options during January. The meeting was generally positive, and the residents are now considering the formation of a district to be a potentially viable alternative on which to handle further, construction of this project. Further discussions will be necessary, however, in an effort to reach some type of formal consensus on this matter. On that particular issue, anything, Tim, you wanted to add comment to this?
Only two things, Jim, that it was somewhat well received, as noted in the minutes, by the residents for the formation of a district. They thought that the costs and the timeframes that the costs were projected over were actually fairly reasonable. So I think that is something they want to digest and then make a decision on at some point in the near future. The only other thing would be that once we have sort of gotten a direction and a consensus, we need to work this into the capital improvement program. It's not something we're going to necessarily be able to go out and do, this year, next year, but we have to, do that as part of the budgetary process, even if it is a district. If it's to be done with town forces or otherwise, we need to, have plenty of time to factor this in because of all the other commitments we have over the next 2 years by the department, Public Works, Highway, Sewer. We've undertaken a lot of work ourselves with our own crews, which is a tribute to them, their, quality of work and their ability to do this work, their expertise. But it certainly has, made it a lot more critical for the management of what we undertake every year.
And it's also proved that when we do it in-house to be more cost-effective.
It has been more cost-effective, and I think we have better responsiveness to the needs of the project and our residents than we ever could have with a contractor.
The other item we covered under new business was the streets with regard to traffic calming. Tim Keefe, our commissioner, provided the committee with a copy of the criteria to be considered relative to the installation of speed humps where that might be considered viable. It was suggested that it may be beneficial to review the criteria and benchmark what other municipalities and agencies have done in their own regard. And Tim said he would reach out to get this information, and the findings will be provided at a future Public Works Committee meeting when that information is considered available and compiled. Our next committee meeting will be Monday, March 3rd at 9 a.m. in the lower level community meeting room.
I'd like to just amend my non-report. That after the meeting, I met with Dan Amon, and we called and met on the phone with Becky. And for Clean Sweep this year, we're going to be putting registration online as well as people coming in to register the morning of Clean Sweep. And we think that will be helpful and it will help a lot of people. And we would have, in fact, know before Clean Sweep Day approximately how many t-shirts we're going to need and how much food. We're going to have a part of it will have a map up there that will have the different areas that you could go to so that people will give their preference, have maybe one or two preferences, and so that we can know how much is going to be open for the people that just come in to register. Matt Beeman from the Parks Division gave me a list of 512 acres of parks that we have, and hopefully we'll be able to put the map up there as well and have them numbered so people could say which ones they want to go to. This is going to be in conjunction with the Rec One program that Becky has. So Becky has offered to help maintain the site, and so has Dan. And they said they're going to be able to teach me. That would be very interesting. And but it's a really exciting because it will help to streamline the process.
And Louise, the date of Clean Sweep is?
It's May 3rd. And again, there's the school children from French Road and other school children will be meeting there in the morning at 9, and all the other residents will be meeting here. And then everybody will get together at about noon, 11:45 for lunch at French Road.
I think this is the 7th annual, and you've chaired 8th annual, and you've chaired them all, and it's a great project. We appreciate it.
Today I got all my emails out for sponsors, and it's coming along.
Great.
It's not quite online yet.
We
will look for it. You won't find it yet, so we're working on it.
We can't put it online until we get the waivers from the attorney.
But thank you, Becky. Thank you, Louise, for doing that.
And I've approved the waivers, so you guys can post that anytime you want.
Attaboy, Ken.
Prompt legal action.
Okay.
All right. New business. Reading and approval of the claims. Chris.
Bill, I reviewed claims totaling $4,349,214.24. I find them to be in order. The significant ones, the most significant one in size at least, was the Brighton Fire District, $4,178,000. That's a pass-through by the town. We just collect it for the fire district and pass it on to them. And I did kind of panic when I saw that $4 million number. But beyond that, we actually had a fairly slow month in payments. But one significant one is the Barton and Longwoodice work, $41,802 in the Monroe Avenue Green Street design work that they've done. They've done a phenomenal job. It's really exciting what they've proposed for Monroe Avenue there, and we're looking forward to the open house coming up on the 20th?
No, on March 3rd.
March 3rd, excuse me, where that's going to be reviewed as well. I see the library got a new bike rack for $593, but and in addition, and just so folks keep it in mind that we are paying the Brighton Central School District for the use of the Brookside School, which they own, for our rec department, and that was a check for $74,207. And along with Brighton Volunteer Ambulance received $278,000. But I find the claims to be in order, and I move that they be approved for payment.
Second.
Okay.
Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember Novros?
Aye.
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Supervisor Maley?
Aye. Next item of new business relates to the proposed University of Rochester South Campus. Thank you, Jim. The institutional plan district proposal. And the action item is to consider the status of the supplemental draft generic environmental impact statement and to consider whether it is complete and ready for public review. Tim Keefe, if you can just briefly talk about this item.
Bill, I'd be happy to. As you know, there's been a lot of time and effort put into this particular project by the town, its staff, its consultant, and by the U of R, their staff, and their project team. And we have worked very, very hard at times to agree on, the content of this document, the scope, and some other things. And can't say we've always seen eye to eye, but I have to say we've had a very good working relationship with the university and their team to get to this point. It has now addressed a number of items we felt were important with this particular proposal for the South Campus, and it's a document that we feel is ready to be considered by the town board to be put out for public scrutiny and review as part of the environmental review process at this time.
Thanks, Tim. And we do have representatives of the university here. I don't know whether it was your intention to make a presentation or simply to be available to answer any questions. Okay, that's great. So why don't we, can I have a motion on this matter?
So moved. This would be to set a public hearing for March 26th.
In addition, yes, in addition to the finding that, supplemental draft generic environmental impact statement is, in fact, complete and ready for public review. We have a motion from Jim. Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion. I think it is important to note that this is another step in a process that began a number of years ago, but it is not a, it's certainly not a conclusion, rather it really is a beginning. It is the beginning of a process of public review. There has been public review of this project dating back to early days, some of it formal, some of it informal. But the action that is being proposed tonight, as Jim noted, would be a formal public hearing to consider that supplemental draft generic environmental impact statement on March 26th at our town board meeting.
As well, Supervisor, as establishing a public comment period.
Thank you, correct.
Which would extend through April 11th at 5 p.m.
Correct. The SEQR, the State Environmental Quality Review Act, requires at this stage of the proceeding that after a public hearing that there be at least an additional 10 days for the submission of written public comment. We've extended that a little bit, and as Ken indicated, April 11th, of Friday, will be the last date for filing written submissions.
And then after, if there are comments, to how long do they have to answer them, or what is next?
Well, you're right. You're right. There is a process by which the university, their consultants, their team will address comments that are received to the draft environmental impact statement. Ultimately, leading in normal course to the consideration of the preparation of a final environmental impact statement and findings statement relating to that. And then after the environmental process is completed, we will then consider really the substantive, the actual incentive zoning application for the rezoning of the institutional plan district over the large area, but also for the proposed imaging building that is proposed as the first building as part of that development. Any further discussion on this matter?
And also that they do emphasize this is not going to be completed next year.
Very long-range project.
25-year project. And it will be section by section, the imaging section, and then there's going to be housing, and there's going to be other buildings and so forth. So it's not that they're going to suddenly have 20 buildings on the site.
And that's the reason for the G in the SDGEIS, the word generic, which is the procedure under the state law that allows these long-range, multi-stage projects to be considered on a sort of a global basis, and then with supplemental environmental impact statements being considered through the process, if necessary, based on those individual stages. If there are areas of concern that haven't been addressed, if the scope is different and the like. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further comments? Please call the roll.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember Novros?
Aye.
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Supervisor Maley?
Aye, and I look forward to the continuation of this public process. I know you've engaged in the neighborhood. You will continue to do that, and we'll see you here again on March 26th. Thanks for coming in. We do appreciate your being available to answer any questions if there were any. Next, Louise.
The next matter is to receive and file correspondence dated February 7th, 2014, from the Planning Board concerning their review of the proposed amendments to Chapter 201 and 203 of the Town Code relating to comfort care homes, and set April 9th, 2014 as a public hearing date for the same. I move on the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second.
As discussed earlier, this would be a proposed local law to specifically address comfort care homes in the town code. Comfort care homes are similar, provide hospice type care, but they are unlicensed facilities providing service to a maximum of 2 patients and their families at any time. This work is the process of quite a bit of review. Initially, there was a proposal that came in a couple of years ago. After review, it was not able to go forward for a variety of reasons. But following that, really the town staff spent a lot of time benchmarking every comfort care facility in Monroe County, looking at common features like parking requirements, the size of the lot that they were on, examining how, what the traffic patterns and the like are. And it was with all of that knowledge and with input from not only town staff, but also, from people in the community that are interested in the availability of comfort care, that this proposed town code amendment was developed. And if this resolution is passed, we'd have a public hearing on it on April 9th.
If I just may, just to clarify the record on this, you'll note in your packet that there are actually 2 letters from Mr. Boehner, both dated February 7th. One is a, if you will, introductory letter requesting the setting of the public hearing, and the other is in his capacity as Secretary of the Planning Board, reporting the Planning Board's findings and recommendations with respect to the proposed local law. And your action here would receive and file both of those communications along with the text of the law, so it'll be prepared for that public hearing in April.
Thanks, Ken. Again, we have a motion and a second. Any further comments?
I recall a couple of years ago when the prior application went before the Zoning Board of Appeals, and that was a difficult application, and I think this is the way to go to address it right out in the code.
Great. If there's nothing further, please call the roll.
Sorry, when I stepped away for a moment, I missed the motion in the second.
Oh, we do have, Louise made the motion and Jim seconded it.
Okay, thanks. So I needed to, Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember Novros?
Aye.
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Warner?
Aye.
Supervisor Mailey?
Aye. Chris?
Next item, Bill, is to seek approval to amend the mileage reimbursement policy, changing the current mileage allowable rate to reflect the latest IRS standards. I move that we adopt the resolution as prepared by the attorney for the town.
Second.
Discussion?
I believe we're going from 56 to 56 and a half, is that correct?
The other way.
Other way.
The other way. 56.
Going down, actually.
Going down?
Yes.
Oh, my goodness.
Down half a cent. But maybe more importantly, what we've as part of this resolution, we are, rather than continuing the past practice of looking at the IRS rate and then making the change, we are simply going to proceed to follow the IRS reimbursement rate. That's been the policy for many years. I think the reason that was not done earlier was if at some point there was concern, things had gotten volatile, and there was concern as to whether the IRS rate might not truly reflect appropriate rates, actual costs. But for now, we think it'll be make more sense. It is our intent that employees be reimbursed at the IRS rate to avoid any tax reporting problems. So that's incorporated as part of this. And thank you, Suzanne, for developing that.
So that's going to be an automatic adjustment, and we won't need to take further action on it in the future.
Yep. Motion a second. Any further discussion? Please call the roll.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember Novros? Aye. Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner,
Aye.
Supervisor Manley.
Aye. Chris?
Bill, the next item is to authorize the supervisor to execute the annual business associate agreement with Brown and Brown of New York for 2014. I move that we adopt the resolution as prepared by the attorney for the town.
Second.
And Bill, this is to review that our HIPAA compliance, under our health plans, and other regulatory aspects.
Thanks, Chris. Any further discussion? Please call the roll.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember Novros?
Aye.
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Supervisor Manley.
Aye. Jason?
Next matter is to authorize supervisor to execute agreement with Mary Louise Conroe from Coughlin and Gerhart to provide representation to the town for labor matters and collective bargaining issues. I move that we adopt the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second.
Is this, we automatically refer to them, to her, before?
Well, we work with Mary Lou on police, labor, and collective bargaining matters. We have worked with her firm for some time. She has not gotten an increase in her rate, and this does reflect an increase in her rate. But it's been, I think, 3 years since we started, and this is the first change in her rate since then.
But to answer the question directly, there wouldn't be any automatic referral of any matter to outside counsel. It's something that the chief would recommend to the supervisor. We'd discuss and then make a decision on a matter-by-matter basis.
That's what I was.
That's a better, director answer.
Right, because different people have different expertise.
Right.
She's got a great discipline and collective bargaining perspective for police contracts.
She did represent the town in our collective bargaining negotiations with the police union this past year, and really, I think all parties were pleased that we reached what we considered to be a fair settlement expeditiously. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Please call the roll.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember Novros?
Aye.
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Supervisor Manley.
Aye. Jim?
The next item is to authorize the declaration of 2 Bobcat skid steer loaders as surplus equipment and trade in as part of the factory Bobcat equipment buyback program. I move when the resolution is prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, this is interesting. Tim, you might want to jump in on this. The fact is that we get this much of a trade-in on the purchase of these new Bobcats is interesting. We've got a $74,000, in other words, $37,000 for each one of these 2 new ones, and we get a trade-in value of $31,428 for each one, which means the net expenditure for the town is only $11,150.
For 2.
And how old are the ones we're trading in?
They are generally only a year old, Jim. What helps is that if you keep the number of hours on a machine down, that's what helps with the trade-in value, because that's part of what's predicated upon. But it also allows us, before we start getting into a lot of expensive repair or replacement of parts and particularly tires on this piece of equipment, unless it's a track machine, we start getting into thousands of dollars just to outfit it with tires or things like that. So it actually is very good, and it takes somewhat of a demand off of our already busy mechanic shop. It allows them to focus on some of the other vehicles that we're trying to keep in service and stretch the life out of. So this is like you said, this is a really nice opportunity for us, and it's been a good relationship with the Bobcat, because they are good little pieces of equipment, very handy, very versatile.
Good.
It is a good relationship. We looked closely at this one this year because actually the spread was not quite as attractive on the trade-in this year as it has been in past years, but for all the reasons Tim indicated, particularly the tires and the ability to keep equipment, newer equipment running, on a regular basis and less of an impact on our mechanics, it still made sense. But we're going to have to look at this closely. If the spread gets much wider, I think we'll find it to be in our financial interest, rather than continuing this trade-in program, to keep them.
Correct.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Please call the roll.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember Novros?
Aye.
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. And Jim, another trade-in.
Next item is authorize a bid award and approval for the supervisor to execute an agreement with Milton Caterpillar to purchase one backhoe loader for the Highway Department, along with approval to declare current backhoe loader surplus to be used for trade-in. I move on the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second.
Discussion?
Same sort of sweet
Yep.
deal, only this one,
Correct,
it has an even smaller margin in terms of our cost, a smaller cost, let's say. And it's even more advantageous, it appears.
That it is, because the new cost is approaching the mid-90s as far as.
85,000 we saw.
Right, and, yeah, and so, based upon our agreement last year, we had an option to do this program based upon, again, hours and a number of other things with the equipment, and this one really pays dividends.
Yeah, this one, I think the differential is $6,300, and this is a piece of equipment at 95,000 lasts for 10 years or more, so that's a very inexpensive
We get
one-year usage.
about 93% back on trade.
And how old is this one?
That is
That's
remarkable.
terrific.
We're
Just
trading in?
just a year.
Again, a year old.
Just
A year old, yeah, okay.
But again, you know,
Great.
the tires go and you've spent
Yeah.
that money in one shot. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Please call the roll.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember Novros?
Aye.
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Chris?
Bill matter discussed at finance, again, a bit of financial housekeeping. This is to authorize various necessary budget transfers and appropriations to the 2013 budget as part of the year-end financial close process. I move that we adopt the resolution that's prepared by the attorney for the town, which references as well Suzanne Zasso's memorandum, which is attached.
Second.
Any discussion? This is something that we do annually to close out the book. Suzanne, do you anticipate one more set of year-end adjustments?
Hopefully not.
Okay, good,
But we're going to be closing over the next couple days, so we'll see what comes in the mail.
good. All right. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Please call the roll.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember Novros?
Aye.
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Louise?
The next matter is approval to renew agreement with Jerry Peterson to provide arborist consulting services through December 31st, 2014. I move on the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second.
I have a question. Is this is just a renewal of what he had? Right?
Correct.
You don't have to get other bids?
We structured that if we wanted to keep the contract, we have the option for 3 one-year renewals after the original one, Louise, and Jerry's rates stay the same for the second year.
And they were very competitive compared to other
Yes,
bids.
they were lower, they were the lowest of the folks that responded to the RFP last year, Chris.
And we've got the added benefit that Jerry's quite familiar with our trees. So
That he
I
is.
was just going to mention that.
Yeah, she couldn't ask for a better person to be doing this.
Very good. Any further discussion? Please call the roll.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember Novros?
Aye.
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Jim?
Next item is to approve a renewal agreement with Cacamese Electric to provide street lighting maintenance services for town lights through December 31st of 2014. I move on the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second.
This is the matter that was referenced earlier with Judy's question.
Yep.
Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember Novros?
Aye.
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Jim?
Next item is to approve a renewed agreement with Woodgate Landscaping Company to provide mowing services for various town facilities throughout December 31st of 2014. I move on the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second.
Any discussion?
This includes all of our parkland as well, Tim, correct? Mowing services?
The major parks, Jim, there's still some pocket parks that we do
Oh, yeah.
with the highway department, but for the most part, it is, they do the town hall, they do the parks, and I'm trying to think.
And of course, there are some parks that we don't mow. You know,
That-
the
that-
forever
that-
wild parks, obviously, we don't.
Yes.
Persimmon Park.
Right.
That is true, and actually, this does encompass a special neighborhood district as well. So,
Yep. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember Novros? Aye. Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Louise?
Next matter is approval to renew the agreement with Waste Management of New York to provide refuge, recycling, and dumpster services for town facilities through December 31st, 2014. I move on the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second.
Discussion, again, as noted, this is a renewal. Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember Novros?
Aye.
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Jason?
Next matter is to authorize supervisor to execute an addendum to the highway permit for Greenlight Networks LLC to install communications facilities within the Meadowbrook neighborhood. I move that we adopt the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second.
This is a relatively new communications company that is installing high-speed internet in a couple of different communities, and including here in Brighton, the Meadowbrook neighborhood, and I would not be surprised to see them
In fact, I know
expanding there.
I know the neighborhood association was active. I believe that with green lights, they look for neighborhoods where there's enough interest. The neighborhood association did spread the word out. Enough people signed up where they selected Meadowbrook as one of their installation sites. I believe they have another one out in Pittsford as well.
Yep.
This is fiber optics, is that right?
Fiber optic, yep,
Higher speed than Time Warner.
yes.
Now, in a case like this, we would go neighborhood by neighborhood inquiring about this?
They go.
That's how they go,
Yeah,
yes.
in other words,
yes.
yeah. Uh-huh.
It's their choice. And I believe that once it's in a neighborhood, then it would just make sense probably to then expand to contiguous neighborhoods
Yeah.
and out from there. But I mean, I believe that there's information on the company's website. If there's enough interest in a particular geographic location, they'll target that neighborhood as the next site for installation.
Just a minute. For a point of information for the public, when doing this, what is the advantage in Meadowbrook? What will be the advantage for the neighbors in Meadowbrook when they do this?
It's higher speed.
I understand that.
Right,
What about
right.
cost? Let's get down to dollars and cents.
I believe I believe that the cost per month for high-speed internet access will be $50 per month. There may be installation charges, but I believe if they're doing an entire neighborhood at the same time, they will waive the installation charge, but there may be an installation charge that's associated with that. And I believe also there's another higher level of service, I believe, for people who are operating a business and need even higher speeds. But this is probably about 10 times faster than the high-speed cable internet service. So,
And how does this connect with, say, you've got Time Warner?
I was just looking at Time Warner, and I think we've got 15 MBS at $52 a month. And this would be 50, you say, right?
right.
Megabytes per second. So that's considerably faster at a comparable price.
And their website is actually very informative. I don't have it, but it's Greenlight Networks. I believe if anybody wants to Google it, they would go right to the website.
Greenlight Networks.
Greenlight Networks, yes.
Okay. Who identified this for your neighborhood?
We have several members of the neighborhood who are very much into information
High-tech.
technology and computers, and could probably explain this standing on their head much better than I can. But they were instrumental in gathering the information and getting the word out amongst the neighbors.
There was a newspaper article sometime last year about them, describing their business plan and indicating that they had started, as Jason said, in Pittsford. But
Is it strictly a local outfit?
yes,
But all this is just to give them the access to the right of way. So residents are all on their own to choose whatever provider they wish.
Correct.
This doesn't do anything to let them in town other than give them the rights to get at the wires.
Absolutely.
Correct?
Now, this will be underground, is that correct? Some underground, some on the poles and back?
And again, if you have any given service, this would still not cause you to leave that service? You could keep that service but have a higher speed capability?
No, you would get your service through Greenlight.
I think so, yeah.
I mean, that they're not just laying fiber. I mean, they
Yeah.
provide the internet access.
Competition's good?
It is.
Oh, it is. You bet it is,
Choice,
especially
yeah.
at that rate.
Okay, any further discussion? We have a motion and a second. Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember Novros?
Aye.
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Jason?
Next matter is to authorize appropriation of $4,625 to the 2014 police budget for community building training. I move that we adopt the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second?
And that community building training is already,
It already came. It
Came and, Mark,
last week
if
in
you would.
January. I actually have a meeting tomorrow at 11 o'clock to go over final reports. We did some employee evaluations of the training, and I see it as a positive. One vendor came in at $32,000. The other vendor came in at what you're authorizing tonight, so quite a disparity of, but the other company was a great company. This was a tailor-made product to us, and I'm very pleased with the training that we received.
it's really consistent, as we were talking about just downstairs a little earlier this evening with the Police Academy, Citizens Police Academy participants, with your philosophy, with the department philosophy of community policing. This makes sure that we are really engaged with all members of the community. And certainly seems that it was a great training opportunity and should continue to bear fruit. Thanks for that. Any further discussion? Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember Novros? Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Chris?
Bill, the next item is to authorize transfer of $20,000 from unassigned general fund balance to the assessment update capital reserve effective December 31, 2013. I move that we adopt the resolution as prepared by the attorney for the town.
Second.
And I believe Suzanne can help us with this one there.
Yeah, this, we have various reserves. This one is for a potential, I mean, we will do a revaluation of town property at some point, and that is a fairly significant capital commitment. So we have made a decision to transfer the $20,000 of fund balance that wasn't used during the year to support that, whether that's going to be, we're looking potentially at either 2016 or 2018 for a revaluation. Likely a townwide revaluation would cost more than $100,000. We have money in the reserve now, but this will add to it.
We'll now have just over 81,000.
Do you have a thought of how much the assessment's going to cost overall?
Elaine may have an idea. I'm thinking upwards of
Yeah,
200,000.
Elaine, why don't you wait until you get to the microphone? Elaine Ainsworth, our town assessor.
I can only speculate because we're talking years out. Historically, they cost over 200,000. I've been trying to keep the ARPA system up and ready so that the front loading of a lot of programming is not going to be necessary. So I'm very hopeful that it would be less than 150. I'd like to think in the 100 range. Technology has actually made some things less costly because you have so much at your fingertips. But it's all speculation when you're talking 2 to 4 years out. But I think it will be significantly less than it has been in the past because of trying to keep, of making sure that that module is prepared and updated every year so that portion is not necessary. So it's really more the personnel to manage the review of to push the button, to review the values, to do the communication with people here in the town hall, out in the community, and through correspondence. So I'm going to speculate between 100 and 100.5.
Thanks, Elaine. Elaine and I have met and reviewed some recent figures as they relate to our assessments and how they relate to actual property values. As always, Elaine does a great job of keeping those numbers in line. It does appear that our property values in Brighton may be rising somewhat faster than our assessment, but we're certainly not to the point where we meet the benchmarks that would require us, under our, I should say require, that would indicate to us that it's time for a reval. But we're going to continue to look at those. The commercial numbers in particular show some positive results, and that's always great to see because it is an indication, not just obviously that we can expect our property values to be strong and keep our tax revenue strong, but it's also an indication of the strength of this community, both from a business and commercial perspective, but also from a residential perspective. So thanks for that, and we'll continue to look at putting money away so that when it is time for an assessment, we'll financially be able to support it without dislocation. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Please call the roll.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember Novros?
Aye.
Councilmember DePoncio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Chris?
Bill, another matter discussed at the Finance Committee is to authorize the closing of various capital projects, including the storm sewer improvements to the debt service fund, the Highland Avenue reconstruction project to the highway fund, and the library town hall building connection project to the quality of life reserve. I move that we adopt the resolution as prepared by the attorney for the town.
Second.
When we left that meeting, I came down to see if I had any mail, and there were 3 people that were here for, I don't know, I think they went to the clerk's office, and then were going to the library, and they were asking if they could get to the library. It was snowing pretty hard out through the building, and were told no, and they were pretty unhappy. And so people still ask for it, and I would, if this is taken out now, can we reestablish it at another date? 2 of the people on the board here weren't around when the controversy was pretty adamant about if we should have one or we should not have one, and don't know the history of it, and I would hate to see that particular part of this taken out.
Well, we can always, at some point in the future, make decisions about an access, an internal access, and make decisions about how that would be funded. That's not something we would do without certainly getting community input, but also working with the library board. And it's not something that over the years there's been able to be a meeting of the minds on. So rather than leave that money essentially frozen, it really made more sense. And certainly as we look at the state comptroller and their reviews of municipal finance, it's appropriate that when we have an account like this that we close it out. And but no, it would not preclude a future board,
Or this board.
looking at making
So
decisions on that.
The money is
future.
going to be put in the general fund? Is that?
Well, quality of life reserve, where it
Right.
originally came
Yeah.
from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further questions for Suzanne? Please call
Just
the
say
roll.
too, Louise, that those questions only come in over the winter months. There's not a lot of people in June and July begging for that entrance internally. So we do hear about it once in a while when they finish with us, but
I had someone ask
not
me
so
tonight.
much in the summer.
Yeah.
So, Councilmember Vogel.
Aye.
Councilmember Novros. Councilmember DePonzio.
Aye.
Councilmember Werner.
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy.
Aye. And one last finance matter, Chris.
Bill, this is to authorize the appropriation of $112,525 from the Workers' Compensation Reserve Fund to the 2013 Police Department budget. I move that we adopt the resolution as prepared by the attorney for the town.
Second.
Okay.
Suzanne?
Is some of the reports we got at year end with regards to our workers' comp claims and some past claims before we were fully insured, with some adjustments to the liabilities on those claims, had this additional amount that our insurance broker feels need to be in reserves to pay further claims on the cases. So we do have a workers' comp reserve that has actually over $600,000 in it, and it was set up for situations like this, so it's a perfect use of these funds.
Thank you. Any further questions? Please call the roll.
Councilmember Vogel.
Aye.
Councilmember Novros. Aye. Councilmember DePonzio.
Aye.
Councilmember Werner.
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy.
Aye. That ends the new business items. Some matters of the supervisor. I do want to talk about a couple of things. First, very briefly, an update on the status relating to the litigation with the West Brighton Fire Department. As you probably read in the newspaper, Supreme Court Judge Ark ruled in favor of the town on a couple of points on this matter, holding that the contract between the town and the West Brighton Fire Department was enforceable. I don't want to get into all of the legalities. He did order that all of the cash be transferred to the town and that the fire department take all action necessary to transfer their other assets pursuant to that contract that both parties had agreed to back in 2011. But I think one important note that some people might have seen the article in the newspaper and not quite understood, the firehouse is open. It will remain open. Service into the West Brighton Fire Protection District will come from West Brighton. That's very important to me. I know it's very important to my colleagues here on the town board. Any suggestion to the contrary is simply false. And the judge, in fact, there was some confusion in the article. The judge did not order the house closed. He ordered that it be ultimately turned over to the town. But again, that firehouse will remain open. And for the residents, beyond just the preservation of quality fire service, what we've been looking to do is make sure, again, as we've talked about here tonight, and some of the funds, that we make sure that those monies be applied, if they're not being applied for fire service, that they go back to the residents. The town has been doing that with respect to the funds that were held in the West Brighton Fire Protection District, both in the 2013 budget and now in the 2014 budget. We rebated $200,000 each year to the taxpayers. Under the judge's order, that would provide the opportunity to free up not only the assets of the district, but also the West Brighton Fire Department for equipment purchases and for rebates to taxpayers. And it's time that happened. The next thing I want to talk about briefly, I'm going to give you a real surprise here. It's cold and it's snowing. And not tonight, fortunately, but I just want to talk real quickly, some winter tips. Driving. Please be careful. Don't automatically assume that 35 or 45 or whatever speed limit you see on a street, even 25, is a safe speed limit. Drive only as fast as the conditions will permit. It's to protect you, to protect pedestrians. We don't want you to get into an accident. Snow plows. A lot of people have private snowplow contracts for your driveways. That's great. We know we've got sometimes some challenges. People are concerned because maybe their driveway contractor plowed their driveway out and later the sidewalk snow plow or the street plow came back again. Our street and our sidewalk snowplow operators really operate their routes. They're out there as early and as often as they can be to keep the streets safe. We know that sometimes means that your driveway may get plowed back in. Hopefully, when it snows hard enough, maybe your contractor will be back out. But it's really important. Our plow drivers do not do that intentionally, obviously, but sometimes it does happen. And keeping our streets safe for all of the drivers is got to be our priority, and it will continue to be. We do, if there are problems with snow plowing, for example, unfortunately, sometimes inadvertently a mailbox might get hit. Sometimes it's the snow that knocks the mailbox over, not the plow. But if you call our highway department, we will come back out and replace that mailbox or post. The other thing I want to talk about, we always talk about it this time of year, if you have a hydrant in front of your house and it's snow covered, please dig it out. Anytime you can save firefighters if they need to use that hydrant, may help save a life or save a property. Speaking of fires, Saturday night, Chief Henderson and Councilmember Vogel and I attended an awards banquet for the Brighton Fire Department. And two people in particular that were recognized. Tom Geen. Tom has provided 50 years of service to the Brighton Fire Department. Extraordinary. You can't miss Tom. He's not quite as tall as I am, but he's been out there helping this community in a lot of different ways for a lot of different years. Second, a truly special individual, the Reverend Ken Williams. Ken served both the Baptist Temple and most recently First Baptist Church in Brighton as pastor. But Ken also served the Brighton Fire Department as a volunteer for 25 years, as a member of its Board of Commissioners, and as chaplain. And more recently than that, Ken also became a chaplain to our police department. We all tried to twist his arm, but he and his wife Peg, also a Baptist minister, have decided to take retirement. They moved down to North Carolina, and North Carolina is getting a little weather now, but Ken's up here still, where the weather's nice. So good career planning, Ken. But the fire department presented Ken with recognition, including a beautiful axe that his family really loved getting. Mark presented him with a certificate of proclamation from the police department. I had the opportunity to speak and thank Ken. Ken is a truly extraordinary individual, and his presence in this community, and really to me personally, has meant so much, and you will be missed. But it was a wonderful evening, a wonderful opportunity to thank him for that service. Finally, one more upcoming event that I thought, Chris alluded to it as talking about some of the payments that we've made. This year, we're going to begin to see shovels in the ground on our Monroe Avenue Green Infrastructure Grant Project, what we call our Green Street project. As we've said, it's primarily a stormwater-driven project designed to enhance stormwater performance along Monroe Avenue, and particularly for Buckland Creek and Allens Creek. But it is also, and these conceptual drawings that we've just received really bear out our hope. This is going to be an opportunity to really enhance the appearance and the performance of Monroe Avenue for our pedestrians, for transit, the opportunity to have access and to see these creeks, to highlight the creeks. Right now, those creeks cross Monroe Avenue, and we drive up and down Monroe Avenue every day, barely giving them a second notice. You will see these creeks after this project is complete. You will see our transit after this project will be completed. So I want to encourage the community to come out to our second open house for this project, March 3rd. right in this room, from 4 o'clock to 7 o'clock. We will have town staff here, members of our volunteer community steering committee for the project, and staff members from our consultants. One of the things, this will be the second meeting, Tim, I just can't say enough, and the business owners along Monroe Avenue were really pleased. Your staff and volunteers knocked on virtually every business on Monroe Avenue, from the 12 Corners down to Westfall Road, to invite them, to talk to them about this project, what it's going to mean to them. And they really appreciated it. They may have some concerns still, some questions, but they had an opportunity initially to get some questions answered at that open house. At this second open house, you're going to see some of these conceptual drawings, and I'll tell you, they knock my socks off, and I think people are going to like what they see, but this is another opportunity for comment, for input, to see what we can do to make this project even better. But I want to encourage both businesses and residents, and not just along that stretch of Monroe Avenue. This is obviously open to everybody. This is a project that's going to affect everybody that uses Monroe Avenue, I think, in a very positive way, appearance-wise, stormwater-wise, and as I keep saying, anything that makes Monroe Avenue more attractive for pedestrians, for bicycles, is going to help the businesses along Monroe Avenue, because we're going to have more traffic on the street, slower traffic, foot traffic, bicycle traffic, and those are folks who are going to stop in our great businesses along the avenue. So March 3rd, 4 to 7, you don't have to stay for 3 hours. You can come, look at some plans for your part of the avenue, an area of the avenue that you might have particular concern, talk with staff, get your questions answered, and go back to work or go back home. So we're looking forward to that, and thank you, Tim and your staff, Ramsey, Mike in particular.
I'm glad you mentioned their names, Bill, because it really is Ramsey and Mike and other staff members too, Paul White, Rick DiStefano, Chad Roscoe, and Everett Garcia, have really been instrumental. And like you said, Bill, they went out and they made that personal contact. We're hoping, and again, until you see it, you're really not going to believe it. And we're hoping that it has the, hey, what about me? Or, hey, me too. I want to be in on this with the businesses and things along the avenue, because it really, it's going to be a fantastic opportunity.
I think so. Thanks, Tim. Matters of the attorney.
Well, as you know, I usually pass on that opportunity, but today I'm going to take that opportunity to share with you and the community, of course, the celebration of one of our most famous attorneys, popular attorneys in the nation, and of course our 16th president, Abe Lincoln, whose 205th birthday we would be celebrating, or we are celebrating today. And although President Lincoln's known for many famous things, the Emancipation Proclamation, his role in leading this country through the Civil War, I thought I'd just take a couple minutes and share some lesser-known facts about our 16th president, and thought you might enjoy some of these. President Lincoln was the only president that we've ever had to have a patent. He invented a device to free steamboats that ran aground, something that we have great need here for in Brighton, probably, along the canal. He practiced law without a degree. He went to school. He had about 18 months of formal education, that's all. President Lincoln, long before women had the right to vote, long before it became a popular movement, wanted women to have that right. Back in as early as 1836, he came out in favor of women's suffrage. He was a big animal lover, particularly cats, had his cat eat at his dining room table with him in the White House. He was a wrestler, wrestled around the country even as president, and took on wrestling matches, although whether he wore a cape or a mask is still somewhat of a wonder.
A beard.
He was actually the first president to have a beard. He was also the first president to be assassinated. He also lost his first presidential bid to be on the presidential ticket, that is, in 1856 as a vice presidential candidate. Lost that bid at the Republican convention. Never belonged to a church, although he liked to read the Bible. Didn't drink, didn't smoke, didn't chew tobacco, didn't have a middle name. Hated being called Abe, but preferred to be called Mr. Lincoln. Established Thanksgiving as our national holiday. And the bonus question, traveled to exactly one location outside of the United States of America in his lifetime. Can anyone name that?
Right.
Outside of the United States of America, Chief.
Right in England.
I wasn't paying attention, go ahead.
No. That would be Niagara Falls, Canada. All right. So anyway, with all of that, happy birthday to Mr. Lincoln, and thinking of
You know,
him.
one other little known fact about President Lincoln is that although medical technology then was not what it is today, it's generally thought that President Lincoln suffered from a condition known as Marfan syndrome. And Marfan syndrome is a connective tissue disorder that affects a relatively small percentage of the population, but particularly people who are particularly tall. And there are some physical characteristics of people with Marfan syndrome that President Lincoln did display. So while I don't believe was ever formally diagnosed, in fact, I don't think the condition was even known at the time, he likely suffered from Marfan syndrome. Marfan's is as I said, a connective tissue disorder that, among other things, can cause aortic rupture, which, needless to say, is a very serious, often fatal condition. So,
Got to remember, I think he still holds a claim as being the tallest president we ever had. He was 6'4", almost 6'5".
Well, he did have big shoes to fill, which Andrew Johnson did a poor job of doing, but I think Supervisor Maley, you would do a decent job. He wore a size somewhere between a 12 and a 14.
that would be 13, which
Right there.
fits me like a glove. Thanks, Ken. Councilmember Vogel used to give us, or Councilmember Tierney used to give us History Corner, but you gave us a little History Corner
It won't be
tonight.
repeated often, I promise.
Thank you. Matters of the board.
Yeah, I've got a question for the only person in the audience right now. What about the potluck dinner?
I do see two people in the audience.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
I think you're asking that question of
Assessor's out
Judy
there now.
on behalf of Brighton Neighbors
Assessor's
United.
there.
I
Sorry.
think I may have mentioned that because Bright Neighbors is kind of overseeing the picnic for the bicentennial, we really couldn't do two in the same year from March to June. It was just too much. So we have passed on it this year. But as soon as March comes, I'm going to go over, Becky, and reserve for 2015. So no fear. Just come on June
Very
1st
good.
instead.
Just thought we'd keep the
Oh,
public
I know.
informed.
We will do it,
All right.
but we
All right.
can't this year.
Thanks, Judy.
Yep.
It's a fun event, and we know the picnic, the bicentennial picnic will be a fun event.
Yeah, it sure will be.
From what I understand, you cannot practice law without a license today, correct?
Well, he was licensed.
Actually, no.
No, I think you...
You cannot practice law,
Oh,
well, you
cannot-
cannot practice law without a license?
Without a license.
Correct. You can get a license to practice law without going to law school, though.
There was a woman in Florida that did the same thing I did with a secretarial service and had been a paralegal, and she was writing wills for people, and she got arrested.
Well, and you still have to go through a practice of basically an intern
Apprenticeship.
Yeah. And have that be an approved program. It's very rare these days, but in President Lincoln's day, that was the normally accepted way people became lawyers.
Bill, a matter of personal indulgence, I just wanted to say, wish my beauty girl, Rachel Justice, a very happy 33rd birthday. This was a very exciting and wonderful day in my life.
Very good.
3 years ago. So happy birthday, Rachel.
All right.
Thank you. And of course, as always, thank you to our cable TV technicians.
I think we might have skipped the town clerk.
Oh, I'm sorry. That still sort of matters we did skip over the town clerk, because you go before the board, don't you? Dan Amon, do you have anything?
Don't worry. Well, I didn't want to let it pass because I do, obviously the due date for the installment and the full payments for property taxes was Monday the 10th. And it's extraordinarily busy time in my office. I often liken it to the day after Thanksgiving at the mall. Over the 2-day Friday and Monday, we helped in excess of 800 residents in the office. And on Monday, payments came out to average just over 1 per minute. So I think I would be remiss if I did not. I have a fantastic staff made up of Brighton residents. Margaret, Tanya, Dave, and Peggy, thank you immensely for all the work that you do. It's great to see as residents come in. While I feel that taxes are a very important and valid part of our country, and they go and do very good, pay for the good work that the folks here and throughout the organization do. I think sometimes it's not always the most pleasant experience for folks, admittedly, but it's great that my staff is rooted in town, and I think it's good that at least when they come in, there's often. It never ceases to amaze me how many people that my folks know and are able to chat with and at least and help them out and make it as comforting or a comfortable experience as possible. So again, I just wanted to I've got a great team, and I just want to publicly acknowledge all 4 of them for the fantastic work that they do.
Thanks, Dan. They do indeed.
One other question is, what's the score?
I'll tell you.
Jim, we'll deal with that after the meeting. Again, I want to thank our cable TV technicians working tonight, bringing this to you on TV and on the internet. Can I have a motion to go into executive session to discuss the employment and appointment of particular people and litigation, both relating to the West Brighton Fire Department and also the Clover Blossom?
So moved.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember Novros?
Aye.
Councilmember DeFonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Warner?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. I want to thank everybody that was here tonight, and look forward to seeing you again at our next board meeting on February 26th. Have a nice evening.